to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we figure out how to build and run a SaaS. I'm Brian.
And I'm Benedict. Each week we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we work on our products and keep the lights on with consulting. Today is January 15th and I am feeling annoyed.
This is episode number 24 and I am feeling energized.
Good for you.
Thanks, man. It's my birthday week.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
Belated.
Thanks so much. I appreciate the kind message on Slack. That was nice.
Yeah, and you only got to read it one day afterwards.
That's right.
That's good on you.
Yes,
good on you.
I did not read it until the day after my birthday, so that's an indication of a good birthday.
I agree. Yeah, that's the way to go. I didn't even consider it that you might not read it there, but I mean, yeah, good for you that you didn't.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good, man. What's got you?
What did you do?
Oh, well, we, let's see, my wife and I went to one of my favorite little breakfast places here in Boulder, and then we, so I think I sent you a picture of it. There's this hike near town called Bear Peak, and it is, let's see, what is it? It's 2,700 feet in elevation gain. So like 900 meters of gain. It's 4 miles up, 4 miles back. So it's a good hike. It's like distance wise, it's similar to some of the bigger or some of the 14ers you can do here, but major difference is, you have a lot more oxygen doing this hike. And anyway, it was good. It was great. We were out there from like, I don't know, 9 to 3:30 or 9 to 3 o'clock ish or so. So it's just a nice, just long and really, really good hike. My wife did, it was icy. And we had yak tracks, on our boots, but even so, and my wife took a bit of a spill on the way down and hurt her knee pretty good. We think it's a sprain and not, nothing torn, thank goodness, but it definitely made the rest of the walk down little tender. But man, but the views were gorgeous. It even snowed on us a little bit, which just was like, yes, we're out here. It was good. I loved it, man. I loved it. How about you? What have you been up to this week?
As I said, I'm annoyed, but
okay.
That's mostly because I've been fighting with the JavaScript package manager, like NPM, until right before this call.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't do what I expect it to do.
Okay.
It's just, I hate that stuff.
We can both throw some curses up because I was wrestling with NPM yesterday. What's it doing to you? What do you got going on?
I started working on basically building a JavaScript package for user list that users can import into their front end code and then use our new in-app stuff and things like that. And I don't know, it mostly works. Like I spent all of yesterday getting the build system set up, so it just like transpiles everything and tests running and stuff like that. And I thought I had everything figured out. And then today I tried importing, like basically exporting 2 files in that package. And of course it doesn't let me, it kind of lets me import it, but only if I specified this, like the build folder in the name. And like it's super weird, but apparently that's just how it works. Like, I'm used to how it works in Ruby, where you basically say in the package description, hey, all the files that you have to like expose to the user are in this folder. And apparently NPM doesn't have that. It just exposes everything.
Gotcha. Well, I've never built a package myself, so I can't.
It's the first time for me as well. So
unfortunately,
I'm learning everything the hard way.
C'est la vie.
Yeah, it's no fun. But hopefully I get it figured out by tomorrow. And I had plans to make some decent progress on the package this week, but so far I'm mostly fighting with the build system and
building.
the package description, all that stuff that isn't really relevant. And I of real production code, I've wrote 10 lines, and I'm not even able to test it right now because the import isn't probably working. So yeah, it's a mess.
What was the motivation for building a user list node package?
So my thinking there was that a lot of people are having advanced front-end setups these days. So it would be nice to just be able to do something like import user list from user list and get that up and running. And my thinking was, of course, we need a JavaScript snippet thingy that other people can include into the HTML files. But all of the code that I have to write for that, I can basically build into the package and then just use the package to somehow expose that via the script tag.
Sure.
So I have this idea of doing this in 2 layers, but yeah, I thought it would be easier.
Well, it might. I don't know. In the long run, it might be more convenient. Whenever it always feels like you just struggle with getting a build set up, knowing, okay, this is going to eventually save me a lot of time and it's going to save a lot of hassle, and I'm not going to be doing the same thing, 10 times, 20 times, 30 times.
Yeah.
But like you said, you spend a couple of days just on that and writing 10 lines of actual production code, or,
I mean, a bunch of this is probably just related to me being new to everything and just having no clue and having basically look up every error message and every piece of documentation.
Yeah.
But I wish it would be easier.
Well, good luck. Good luck powering through it.
Thank you.
Yeah. What we talked about email provider stuff last week. Where's all of that at?
We still haven't fully figured out what to do. I have by now I have 3 providers implemented in user list, so we can in theory send via 3 different providers. But the one we're currently using for some reason still feels like the best option at the moment. And I had a call with them earlier today talking about how to get rid of some of the sending limits there are. And well, it basically boils down to throwing more money at the problem. So apparently their daily sending limit is 10% of the monthly limit. So if we want to increase the daily limit, we can just move to a bigger plan.
Yeah.
Even though we probably don't need it for in terms of a month, but maybe that's the only option to get that daily limit increased. Or the other option would be to buy their premium support plan, which is several $1,000s per month. That would basically remove all of the limitations, but then again,
remove quite a bit of your runway as well.
Yes, remove quite a bit of money from our pockets. Right. So I'm not entirely sure we should do that just yet. But surprisingly, last Friday, after I finished the additional provider I initially planned to integrate, I started looking into Amazon SES again, and then discovered that they have a new SDK out there, and that was surprisingly easy to integrate and does most of the stuff we'd need, and is super cheap. So maybe we'll keep using our current provider for the main sending, but get Amazon SES set up and configured as a fallback. So if we run into sending limits or something like that, we could, in theory, just switch things over.
Yeah.
So that's one of the options I'm currently looking at. We'll see. Still have to figure it out. But the coding part is done, so
Well, that's good.
At least something.
Yeah. What else on the horizon for you guys? Like any particular pattern in the user feedback that you're hearing that you're starting to think through, or any?
Yeah, there's some things come up in customer support quite a bit. One of them is the way we do triggers on the campaign. Right now they are purely event based, so an event happens and then that triggers a campaign. And it's possible to add like multiple conditions to it that get checked in the moment the event happens. But I think I talked about it in a couple of episodes ago. Some people basically want to just define a set of conditions that then triggers a campaign for a user the very moment all these conditions match. And that's something we don't have.
Okay.
But it feels like a lot of people expect it to work that way. And I mean, it kind of makes sense. So we should probably look into this and implement this other way of triggering campaigns. But then again, there's so much on the list we should do. It's hard to prioritize. And I really want to get the in-app messages stuff and the JavaScript stuff finally done, and don't really want to jump to a different thing again and delay that. And just want to get it done and shipped and not have to think about it anymore.
Do you follow Arvid Kahl on Twitter? He's the guy who he and his partner just sold Feedback Panda.
Oh yeah, I am.
Okay. I feel like he had an interesting thread recently, didn't he, about how to choose what you're going to work on next when you're still early. Okay, maybe
I
not.
vaguely remember seeing something like that, but I don't remember what
I mean,
the learnings from that were.
Yeah, no. He just had some thoughts on, like, when you're early, just be sure that everything you're doing is going to affect a large percentage of people, not a small percentage of people greatly. I thought that was he had some interesting takes there, so it might be worth reaching out to him and seeing if he's up for a chat and to think through some of that stuff, or just at least just like get another perspective, because it definitely I can imagine, like, prioritization for you right now is just such a challenge. I mean, it's always a challenge, but
I feel like we have a pretty good idea, but still, like, there are still multiple things with higher priority. Like, for example, the in-app messages, definitely high priority, but like the new trigger type, it's kind of like it's coming up a lot, so it's also kind of, by that definition, kind of important. So and like the other thing is integrations with like third parties like Zapier and stuff comes up a lot as well. So that's also something we should look into.
So
see, there's a lot of stuff going on.
So in-app messaging, custom triggers. What was the third one you said in the middle?
Integrations.
Yeah. So,
and that's also integration, like in-app messages and integrations both have some marketing aspect to it. Like in-app messages, because like it's a differentiator in some way, at least to some of our competitors. And integrations, like integration marketing is a big thing, like being present in all the marketplaces and stuff. Also kind of interesting. So
Are you the kind of person who, because I hear people say this, like when you get super frustrated, try to run something down, like you're stuck in the middle of this NPM build stuff. I hear some people say, what always works for me is I just drop it and move over to something else for a day or two, and then when I come back, I'll have it. And some people say, once they're down in the middle of it, like I just can't leave until I get all the way through it. So are you feeling right now like you're going to figure this out, you're going to get it done, get this package thing sorted, or actually I'm going to just drop it cold turkey and tomorrow I'm working on in-app messaging because I know that that's a number one priority? What's your work style?
I think I do a little bit of both, like depending from time to time. I just like I totally experienced that. Like you're working on something just doesn't quite work. You stop working on it. Next morning, you start back up again, like get into the code and fix it in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That happens to me from time to time. But then again, I think with this particular thing, I don't think it will get easier by dropping it. It probably only gets harder because I lose so much of context. And like the learnings.
Yep.
And I think it probably raised a little bit to experience level, maybe. Just guessing here, but like with the NPM package, I have to learn the stuff and read stuff and try a bunch of things. And I think dropping it and picking it up in a couple of days will only make it harder because then I'm basically starting from scratch.
That makes sense.
So I guess I have just to power through it, and maybe I'm trying to do it in a way that doesn't really fit the NPM model. Maybe I have to reconsider and organize my files a little bit differently or something like that.
Yeah.
So I will figure it out. I just wish it wouldn't be that hard.
Okay. Good luck to you.
Thank you. What have you been struggling with NPM wise?
Oh, it's not nearly as down in the weeds as you. I was integrating Tailwind into projectheadlamp.com. It's getting ready to start writing a bunch of articles and eventually like pulling in, feature things, and just really loving everything that Adam and Steve are sharing right now. And it's like, okay, I want to pull this in and gonna not do the whole spaghetti of custom classes and BEMCS, CSS and all that. And so I had it working perfectly on my local machine. And even that took a fair amount of wrangling and customizing a gulp build and like running down Google searches of, okay, wait, now what's it? Okay, cool. Now we're working, and it's really slick. I mean, it really is. It's pretty cool. And I was like, all right, sweet. Deployed it to my production site on DigitalOcean, and like none of the packages would install. And I would even, I was like, SSHing as root and as the user that I had created to deploy the Git repo into the right directory, and nothing is working. There's like, sometimes it gives me an error, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll run down that error, and then it'll just build through with no errors whatsoever. But like for some reason, Tailwind just does not exist in the CSS file now. So I'm sure it's something stupid I'm overlooking. Just got to figure that out. But it was like basically, 3 hours yesterday afternoon of trying to run this down rather than writing articles for Headlamp, which is what I had intended to be doing.
What's your reasoning to basically try to make this work in the current project when you're also considering to rewrite it and write?
Oh, this is for the marketing site.
I see.
Yeah. So projectheadlamp.com. I was like, okay. You responded to this, but I've been like sending some messages out on Twitter of like, I want to start to pull all of the interviews and the resources and the articles that I've been collecting and sharing on Twitter, and start putting them up as articles on the site to be able to share those and pass those around. And so as I was hopping, and it's just like a standard like Jekyll site right now. And so as I was hopping in there and start writing some things, and it's like, okay, this needs to be laid out in this way. And I had written maybe my second or third, custom CSS class. I was like, I should just do this in Tailwind, for crying out loud. I've been wanting to play with that anyway. and then, 3 or 4 hours later. So you had only written about 10 lines of production code. I had only written about 10 lines of an article that I had intended to finish. So,
what's your writing setup? Sounds like you're writing your articles basically in code directly.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be like, it's a Jekyll site, so I'll write them in Markdown and push them up to the site.
Okay, interesting. I I used to do it that way, like basically open up the repository and then write the article in there. I am not doing that anymore. I basically either use IA Writer or Ulysses. And just write in there. And then once I'm done, export to Markdown and import it into the repository. Exactly because of this. Because this way it's disconnected from anything styling related or anything code related. And it's just writing, and I don't care about the headline color or if the images are centered and stuff like that. I just write it and then copy it over once I'm done.
Yes. I completely see that side of things. What I have really enjoyed, and this is like just over the last year since converting my personal site, brianray.com, to Statamic, and just being able to write in Markdown in the repo, it just feels so good. And writing in Sublime Text, just going into distraction free mode, and feels very similar to IA Writer. But yeah, in this case, I definitely let it send me down a rabbit trail. But
yeah, I mean, it still happens from time to time.
Yes, definitely. So that was, I want to, what I've decided. So this is kind of related to the question I asked you. What I decided I'm going to do is, okay, fine. I will untangle the build mess later. And so right now I'm just pulling in, Tailwind from a CDN. So I can just keep moving forward and writing, designing the pages, using Tailwind classes, but I'll pull it into my build process later. So that's what I'm just like, okay, stop worrying about this right now. I'm just going to push it forward, and get a couple of articles, written and published this week. I need to, as soon as we get done recording, I need to finish, editing and publish a new bright and early episode with Josh from Referral Rock. And so I'll definitely be sure to mention Headlamp. And
I had a call with him yesterday.
Oh, really?
Incidentally.
Nice.
Talking about email providers and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. Yeah.
He is,
he's a cool guy. So I'll publish that episode. I will talk about Headlamp there. I had a message from my friend Richard, who was like, "Hey Brian, listen, I am completely with Benedict on this. You are miles away from being overly salesy and pushy. Like you need to be talking about Headlamp more on Bright and Early." And I was like, okay. So start to get that stuff happening. So
yeah, good.
Anyway, let's see. I think the other idea that I was kind of mulling over at the end of last week was some feedback I've gotten a couple different times now is, hey, if you're thinking about rebuilding Headlamp and kind of just rethinking it generally, knowing you're still going in this similar direction, but what if before you built Headlamp, what if you were Headlamp and performed some sort of wellness or loneliness, happiness workplace audit for remote teams? It's like, okay, I could totally see that. Like conducting one-on-one interviews with the leadership team, conducting some one-on-one interviews with X number of employees, pulling some qualitative, feedback out of that, running an anonymous quantitative survey with all the employees about, key competencies of high-functioning remote teams. It's right in the wheelhouse of what I want to be doing, what I want to solve with software. Plays on people tell me that I'm a good interviewer, and I do a lot of customer interviews, so it plays on that skill. Have done a lot of surveys for my clients. So it just kind of combines a number of things that I've done before, that I feel naturally inclined towards, good at. And like, if that were my consulting business for the next 6 months, I would be delighted. So
sounds like there's some overlap. Yeah, that would be
so much. Yeah, so much overlap. How does that strike you? Like, as I describe, hey, what if I shifted over to here? Like, what do you think?
I think that's a great idea. Like, especially for the learning opportunities, like without having to write any code, you get some instant feedback of things that work, don't work. Or maybe even just maybe you could discover new problems or things where Headlamp as a product or as a tool might fit in, because like in your process you maybe discover, like, I don't know, the survey isn't working. It should be a internal survey tool similar to how it is now, but yeah, like basically get new ideas this way. And of course, like revenue wise would be nice, I guess.
Always helpful.
And I think the overlap between, like, this way you'd have some overlap between the product side of things and the consulting side of things. And then you probably get some synergies on marketing and stuff like that.
And writing.
So, and writing, like everything plays into one thing instead of having to maintain two separate things at the same time.
Yep.
I like it.
I like it too.
I wonder if you are able to, like, how do you kickstart this? Like, how do you get a consulting engagement like this? That's my main question right now.
Yeah. That's my main question as well. It feels like it could have a lengthy sales cycle. Depending upon what the ticket price is. I think to be able to have some legitimacy, it would be helpful if, to put a fair amount. I think also like selling it as a service underneath projectheadlamp.com, not from brianray.com. I think that would be very confusing of like, hang on a second, you're like, you've got a background as a development and you do jobs to be done work for companies, and now you want to do like a remote work audit? I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? Like, that'd be way too muddy. Unless people have been like following the whole journey for a long time, as opposed to, there's this thing, Project Headlamp. We're working on a product, but for now, hire us for our expertise in assessing how well a company is implementing the best practices of high functioning remote teams. That feels, I guess that just feels more sensible and like better marketing.
I think it's worth a try, but like, to get started, I wouldn't even like try to put a marketing page up or anything. I was thinking maybe you can reach out to the companies who you pitched your paid beta to, and just like talk to them and see what. I mean, hey, you didn't want my product this way, so I'm just coming into your office.
Yep. So that's the next part of my update, is that I've actually already sent this out to 3 people.
Okay.
I think on Friday, and haven't heard anything back.
Okay.
So, but
I wonder if this is. I wonder if this is like a thing that's not common enough. Like, maybe it's too exotic to have like someone do a remote workplace audit, and maybe it's some of the things that people don't know they need yet.
Yep. Which is why it for sure feels like lengthy sales cycle. There's some education, involved. I think it would be, I can imagine that it would not be terribly difficult to find marketing qualified leads, but getting them to sales qualified leads where they know that they need to buy this, like, that's going to be an education process. The related thing, just to pull in the drum that Justin Jackson has been beating for a while here is that companies do buy this sort of thing. Not a quote unquote remote workplace audit, but businesses do, pay for and want like culture audits is like I think traditionally like how this would be positioned and sold by like a reward and recognition company or an employee engagement company.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some market research for me to be done, there in terms of finding those folks. Probably also better off focusing on more mature companies that are distributed and not remote first. Like finding companies who've been around for 10 years and are now starting to have remote workers, as opposed to trying to sell this to a 9-month-old remote first startup with 10 employees scattered around the globe. They probably need it, but they're small and early.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking out loud.
That's our new podcast title.
Yes, that's our next one. We're gonna launch Growth and Echo in February, small and early in June. Fast and dirty, or fast and I don't know. John Buddha made a joke.
I wonder.
One point about
I wonder what, having just realized that maybe the remote workplace audit isn't a thing that people would buy right now or search for right now. I wonder what that says about the idea in general, like about the entire project.
Yes.
Previously we kind of came to the conclusion that sure, there are similar tools out there. So people definitely are looking for stuff like that. But is it actually true? maybe the angle is still a little bit wrong. Maybe it's culture tools and not like remote loneliness tools or whatever.
Yes, I think that is definitely, I think you're onto something. That my my positioning of it and like where I am coming from this is something that remote teams need because people start to feel lonely after a while, or a large percentage do, large enough that it's going to have a financial impact on your company. So you should pay attention to this. That is there's like some lukewarm response to that, and probably what I should do, which is why we just talked through, is actually my customer is not me and my people who listen to this podcast, people who we talk to. It's actually folks who are companies who are 8 years further down the road with 50 to 70 employees. And now they have 5 or 10 employees scattered across the globe. And those are the employees who are most likely to leave because those companies do not know how to do remote work.
Yeah.
And the way that, and the things that they have been purchasing, the things that they do purchase, employee surveys, culture surveys, culture assessments, that's what this needs to be positioned as. You are thinking really hard.
I don't disagree. But then again, I remember when you started with this, it was mostly because it resonated with your audience. At least your Twitter audience. I remember we were very excited about
totally.
I'm onto something there. And now it sounds like you're onto something, but not with the people that it resonated with.
Nope. And that is because it did not resonate with my audience. I don't have very many followers on Twitter.
Okay.
It resonated with a bunch of people who don't know me from Adam. And those people, it ended up being people at, Full Story, Microsoft, and these other larger companies that were not remote first, but now have remote employees. The reason I was oh, hey, wow, this message is really onto something is because it extended well beyond me.
It was
and my
It was
my audience
beyond your audience. Okay.
And I think this is another kind of interesting thing. This interview that I'm about to publish with Josh from Referral Rock says a super similar thing. Is that when he first had he had this the idea for Referral Rock, and he started testing it out and interviewing some people, and they were like, yeah, I could kind of see it. I don't know, maybe. Super lukewarm. And then he was like, I still think I'm onto something. And he discovered later it's because he was getting feedback from the wrong people, and from the wrong market. Like the people that he was getting lukewarm responses from were from smaller companies, and where his business has come from is from larger B2Bs. And so I wonder if, like, the unfortunate thing for me here is what I am. Like this consulting package or the first version of Headlamp is probably not going to be sold to our friends in Mega Maker and the few people who follow me right now. Like it's going to probably be sold to boring businesses that have, been around for 12 and 15 years and are now coming around to remote work. All right, I'm just thinking out loud at this point.
Yeah, both of us. But I hope this is what makes this interesting.
Yeah, hopefully so. Somebody, please, like, whatever you're shouting into the ether and shouting at your headphones right now, tweet it at me instead, and let's talk.
Yeah. Remind me, the companies you reached out to initially, what type of companies were those?
Do you mean like back in August when I first interviewed some folks, or super recently?
Super recently.
So those came from the WeWork remote. Most of those came from the WeWork remotely Slack group, because I was like the featured community member, whatever.
Yeah.
And I would need to go back and look at them specifically. But because whatever I say right now is going to, I'm not totally certain.
Okay.
But
just wondering if maybe it's related that they weren't large enough businesses to be to be really, really interested in stuff like that, or
just weren't at the right life cycle of the company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you think you have a way into one of those larger businesses?
Well, I'm thinking because the way in would be through a one-to-one connection with somebody, not
with someone.
Right. And okay. Yeah, I think that's some good work for me to do over the next handful of days. Or let me pitch this. Don't create a landing page, but get some copy together, right? Like outline of the service, the deliverables. I've already got a bunch of that like fleshed out anyway.
Yeah.
And do some one-on-one, like one-to-one outreach to a specified number of people and see if it sticks, see if anything warm develops at all.
Yeah. That sounds like a good idea.
Okay. I will resist the urge to put together a fancy landing page. I promise.
Yeah. I think, you're right. I think that doesn't help you with anything right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think here's some specific feedback that I could use from anybody listening who has done this sort of thing or bought this sort of thing. Just feedback on how to price it. Like I'm bringing my own like experience and background in consulting and stuff into it, and I think I have an idea of how I'm going to price it and at what level I'm going to price it. But before I say that out loud, I would love to have people say, "Here's how you should do this."
Yeah, that would be interesting. I have no idea what I priced this at, but I will definitely think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. On the one hand, well, yeah, I'm not going to say anything else. If you want to talk about it, shoot me a message, and I would love to hop on a handful of 15-minute Zoom calls over the next week.
Nice.
So, all right. Anything else, man? What do we got?
No, not from my side.
Okay. Oh, last thing, because this is super quick, but DHH has been on a anti-Google, Amazon, like large tech company, Facebook rampage for a while now.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the congressman from our district here in Boulder is like on the antitrust congressional subcommittee or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the subcommittee is having a hearing, and it's being hosted at one of the law schools at CU Boulder. And so DHH is going to be testifying on Friday here in town, and I am definitely bringing my popcorn. So that'll be
nice.
That'll be fun. So if anybody happens to be in Colorado and you want to drive over to Boulder and chill out with me and my buddy Mike while we listen to DHH rail,
rail off of Ruby on Rails.
But yes, I'll be here all week, folks. Yeah, that'll be fun. I'll let you know how that goes. Should be cool.
Cool.
All right, that's it for me, man.
Yep. Then talk to you next week.
All right. Show notes at slowandsteadypodcast.com. You can follow us on Twitter at slowsteadypod. Find me, BRHEA, and please tell me what you like, what you don't, in terms of like my thoughts here. Really want some feedback on this. So peace.